Learning pastels is probably one of the best ways that you can learn about skin tone. If I take my hands and I stretch them wide like this, and I really look at them, what colors do you think I'm going to see? I'm going to see a rainbow of colors. And I'm going to use that to help me with my skin tone for this pastel. Supplies that you're going to need for this project include pastels, of course. Student grade pastels are just fine, but you want soft pastels, all right? So make sure that they're soft. You also want a paper that has tooth to it. Regular drawing paper would probably work just fine. I'm going to be using gray bogus paper because it has enough tooth that it will hold the pastel, but at the same time, it's a really cheap and expensive paper. Drawing paper doesn't have quite the tooth. Again, it will work okay, but it's not going to be the best. The other thing that you might need is like a damp paper towel that you can wipe your fingers on after you have worked the pastel into the paper and things like that, or even a baby wipe. Smudging stuff would work for fine details around the eyes, but not necessary.
First thing that you're going to want to do is sketch out your portrait with pastel on your paper. Now, if you do not remember the proportions of the face, you might want to take a refresher and watch the video on proportions on the face first. After I've done that, I'm going to use blue to mark in my first layer of undertone colors. And the blue is going to go where the shadowed areas would normally go. I'm going to use blues, purples, and greens in these shadowed areas because I want to use all the colors in the rainbow. So after I've got the blue down, I'm going to pick up the purple and the green and work that in. Once I have the green laid out, the next color I'm going to choose is red. And I want to put red wherever I have fleshy areas. That's where the heat is. And there won't be a lot of red that I'll put down. Yellow goes in where the highlight areas are. So you'll put that in a little line above the lips, right up around the bridge of the nose, and then orange is going to go everywhere that I don't have color down, so all of the blank spots. When I get done, I will show you a map that kind of gives you that layout and you can see where these colors go. You also notice that I am only doing half of the face because I just want to show you the skin tones. That's what this is all about. All right. After I've done that, my next chore is to take my finger and push those colors into the paper. Notice when I laid those colors down, I laid them down lightly so that they would push in and not be really thick. If you have too thick of an application of this undercolors, you're going to have a difficult time putting the overcolor. So take your finger, I like my little finger, and you start with the yellow, then work your way to the orange and then the red, and then you'll come into the cool colors, the purple, the blue, and the green. Now we're ready to put our base color down. And really there's a lot of different choices here that I can choose from in terms of which color I might want to use. Different brands are going to give you different colors as well. So I also recommend that you have more than one brand of pastels to choose from so that you can make the choice that you think is closer to that person's skin tone. I'm going to choose this kind of peachy pink, and I realize that it's not showing up color-wise on the screen as well as I would like, but this part right here is kind of the fun part. You're going to go over all of these colors as hard as you can. Now I kind of work my way around that nose so I don't lose my basic lines that I have put down, and I'm going to work my way around the eye. Alright, now I've got kind of a mess here. As you can see, all of the dust that's on there. You can leave it for right now, but we're going to shake it off, and when you shake it off, you want to shake it off into a trash can. So it's always a good thought to have the trash can next to you. You don't want to blow because you don't want the dust to be in the air for you to breathe in, or for somebody else that might be in the room with you to breathe in. Now I'm going to take my finger and I'm going to gently rub all of this into my paper, so, and like so. And I will take it to the trash can and dump, and then share with you what I have so far. At this point, we still need to work in our shades and shadows, but look at all the lovely, wonderful tonations that you get with this skin tone. Yeah, it looks a little bit blotchy. Part of that's the paper. Remember, this is a learning paper that we're working with, so that you can practice. It's a great learning paper, this gray bogus paper is. But, you know, if you had really good paper that you're working with, it wouldn't be quite as blotchy. So I'm going to come in now with this rust color and start looking at where I want some of those darker areas to be accentuated a little bit. Here's where I can define the nose a little bit better. You'll notice several things here. There is no black in skin. Black will actually kill your portrait faster than anything. Especially, you have to be very careful when you do the eye and you do the pupil, because you can get little black specks all over your face. And once that's in there, if you wipe it by accident, it's in there to stay. So we have to be real careful with the use of black when we're doing the portrait. Now that's going to be kind of like a little cast shadow there. Remember, wherever it dips in, like up underneath the cheekbone here, have a little bit more darkness. Okay, and jawline in here maybe. I've got, if we have any kind of little cleft chin, might be a little darkness right there. It's these subtle details that will make your portrait come alive. You'll notice that I'm very gently rubbing all of these colors in, that I am not putting them in real hard. And if I need a little bit more flesh color in there, I can put a little bit more. Now the thing about the cheap bogus paper, it works really well as a learning paper for you to kind of play around with, but it will only take so much before it won't take any more. It has a little bit of a tooth, but it doesn't have a real strong tooth. So you're going to probably want to have paper that has a little bit more tooth to it in order for it to take these colors. Now, among pastel artists, there's quite a debate as to whether we use fixative or not. And I kind of changed my mind depending on the project. Some projects, I think it's good for you to do a little bit of a fixative, midway, just to kind of keep those pastels in place. Purist will say, oh no, don't do that. All right, so now that nose is coming together very nicely. And I think, and I'm using dark brown now, I'm kind of getting into the browns here. There's a fold line. I want to put that fold line in. So I'm going to put a line. All right. And underneath that line, it's going to have a little bit of shadow, so I'm going to pull down just a little bit. And I might put a little tint of white on top of that line, so you can see that it folds as I'm going. All right, so that said, white. White is going to be the last thing you put on, and white is going to happen wherever you have those reflective areas, right? And the thing about white, though, is that you don't want to push it in. If you want it to stay, okay, so there might be a bright, bright white spot right there on her nose and probably up against the bridge here, and go into maybe a little bit right there. And I'm going to tap. I might rub a little bit on the edge of that, but where I want it to be bright, I just want to tap. There's going to be probably a spot on the cheek here. And again, I'm just going to kind of tap that in. A little brightness. There's going to be that line around the lip that we talked about, which really I would want to do the lips first before I got into doing that, but I'm just showing you where it would be. And right there. Okay, so we got a little highlight there. There might be one on the chin. So, and you might, of course, if you're working with a resource photograph, these light areas are going to be in a different location. So you're going to be looking at how that light hits different features and putting these whites in accordingly. All right. That right there gives you a really good start. You would continue to tweak and play, but oh my gosh, look at all the colors. And you can see the little bits of blue and the little bits of purple shining through. All right, so today we're going to look at the eye and give you kind of a basic idea of how to create this eye with pastel. And again, we want to think about your undercolors. It's not just about putting white down for the eyeball part of it. Straighten this up a little bit where I can get to it. Yeah, right there. All right, so the first thing I want to do is I want to put a little bit of blue in the corner here, and a little bit of blue right here that I'm going to actually rub into paper. I'm also going to put a little bit of green right here in the corner. Now, why would I put green? Well, if the tear duct is kind of pink and red, right? What's opposite of pink and red? So that's why I'm putting in the green. Now at this point, I would use a shading stump. If you don't have a shading stump, which I just didn't happen to have one, I have taken a piece of paper towel and folded it like several times until I got a little point at the end. And I'm going to use that to kind of rub in Not kinda, I'm rubbing it in. Get my words going today. I haven't had my morning coffee, right? Actually, I don't drink coffee. But, there we go. Alright, so that's the beginning, right in there. The next thing I want to do is I'm going to establish where my iris is going to be, and I'm just going to use a pastel pencil. If you don't have a pastel pencil, then take one of your pastels that you have. So I've got the big block right here, right? I'm going to actually snap it and I can use then the corner to establish where that iris is going to be. Or I can use my pencil. Now before I get too involved in working with this iris, I'm also going to put in the pupil, where I want that pupil to be. I want to start working with the whites of the eye. So I'm going to find my white. In this case, I don't use a pastel pencil because I want that white to be nice and soft. Again, though, I will snap that piece of chalk in half so I get a nice point. And I'm going to come in on the edge and work in that white, just like so. Now that white is not going to be too bright white because of the blue I put there. We're going to rub this in. Again, I'm using my paper towel because I didn't prepare like I should have. Actually, I'm just now setting up my art studio, so finding things is kind of a trick. I now want to work with some pink kind of colors. Actually, I'm going to start with orange. I'm going to put a little bit of orange right in here. With two little dots in there. And again, I'll rub those in. I have to kind of tap them because it's so small. Then I might come in with a little bit of red. And again, I will kind of tap that in place. Keep in mind that I'm just giving you the basics. You might have to play with this until you're happy with it. And that's perfectly fine. This is just kind of getting you started. You're going to learn more by doing and getting involved yourself with this process. So now I want to decide what color I might want to have that iris. Before I do that, I'm going to push in a little bit more white right around it, right on the edge of it, just because. And again, I'm going to tap that in so that it will be a little brighter white. Now, if I had really good paper, I would be able to keep doing more of this and get that even brighter. But remember, this is a learning paper. We're working on gray bogus paper today. So I want this to be kind of a blue-green eye, which is kind of my color. It has little flecks of green. It has little flecks of blue. What you have to understand about the iris is it's more than just a solid color. So I'm going to come in and put some stripes in here and striations, just like that. And I'm going to take the green, and this time I'll show you using the edge. It's a little softer anyway, right? I might also have a few little flecks of orange, just because. So, and then I'm going to take my dandy paper towel, and I'm going to very gently tap those colors in and together. Now with student grade pastels, you're not going to get a lot of colors. And so you may have to kind of play with some things. For instance, if you wanted that to be even darker around that edge, purple and green are a great combination for kind of giving you a really dark color. So I'm going to put a little bit of purple around this edge, and then I'm going to go back in. I have a green pencil here and really darken that up. And I'm doing what I told you not to do. I'm going to blow the dust away because it makes it go faster, but then I'm the only one here and I'm not creating a whole lot of dust yet. If I had a whole lot, I would get away from the table and I would dump that in the trash can. But as this is a demo, we want to move forward, right? So next would be to clean up any imperfections, like right there. I want that to be a nice crisp line. So now, okay, good. Now we're getting somewhere. All right, I'm going to come in with this green that I have just because, and I'm going to define that edge just a little bit on the eye. Push in just a little bit. I'll also come in with a brown later, but just because, kind of give it a little bit more definition. Yeah, I love this. All right, very nice indeed. All right, so now we want to think about the pupil and eyelashes, but I'm going to tell you right now that when I put that black on, which is probably the color that you want, you have to be very careful about getting those little black dots on the skin. Something I forgot to do was also establish the eyebrow, but you know, that might help you understand the shape. You have to consider the fact that this eyeball, if I pluck it out of my eye socket, is a round sphere. And so this whole thing kind of needs to look like a round sphere when I get done. So I'm going to push that in just a little bit. Of course, it's green right now, which is kind of cool. Yeah, okay. So iris, getting back to on track here. I do not have a black pastel pencil on me that is soft enough to do what I want it to do. So I am going to use the big pastel, and what I want to do is I want to basically mark where that goes, but I'm not going to put any black where I think I want that reflective little bit of light to go. If I do, I will never regain the ability to put that reflective light in. So you have to be really careful about that. Now, I don't know if you can see, I'm going to use this as a pointer, but do you see those little black specks right there? It is super important that you do not touch them, because once they're there, like I said, you've messed up your whole process here. So, all right, and now to make sure that I don't get any more little specks, I'm going to use my homemade shading stump here and push that in. Voila, very good. So now I want to create eyelashes, and most eyelashes are going to be pretty close to the color of your hair, but darker, and they might be full on black. You may want to start with a brown first to kind of just establish where they go. So I'm going to come from the top of the iris all the way across the corner of the eye there with a line, and I'm going to start putting in some very fine little hairs. And really and truthfully, using a pastel pencil would be so much easier than this large block. So, that said, somewhere in here, oh yeah, there it is. I do have a black. It's just a really hard black. And so I'm going to come in and put in. Now eyelashes go all different directions. They might crisscross over. There's also an under lid. So right in here, right, there might be an underlid. There might be a bright, bright white spot right here. Kind of marks the edge of it. A little highlight in there. Like so. And I'm going to come in with just a few little small hairs. Just because, right? And get a little shorter right here on top, like so. Voila. Yeah, now we're cooking. Okay, so highlights. You're going to take your bright white, and again, yeah, I've got a pastel pencil here. It's not very hard. Very soft, sorry. Not very soft, so I don't know if it's going to actually go in there well. It might be better for me to use the actual, yeah, much better. You see the difference, right? And I might have a little bit of a highlight right here on top of the eye. Depends on how the light is hitting it. Like so. Anything you can do that will make this look a little bit more realistic is awesome. So you might actually come in really sharp and put in a few little veins that kind of show up. You want to be real gentle with that. Yeah. Again, it's just about finding those details. But this will give you the basics, right? While we're here, let's go ahead and do our eyebrow, just because we didn't do it before. Remember, I like those crazy colors, so I'm going to come in with a few little crazy colors. The blue. Yeah, blue is good. Light blue. I'm going to try lime green this time just because. And you want to go up and then over, and again, you're going the direction that that eyebrow would be, right? And then after I have pushed that in, I am going to, and actually, well, I'm going to go ahead and do this. I'm going to go ahead and put this in. I think I got my fold line a little bit high, so I probably will. There we go. So now we got some that, and we want a little bit of the rust color because she's got red hair. And voila, yeah. I got my fold line just a little bit high. To fix that, I'm going to come in with my skin tone color and kind of go back over that line. And I will come back then with my, let's see, let's use green. I like green. Green's good. And come over here. Voila. Much better. Much better. And again, this might look different if I'm working from resource. This just kind of gives you an idea of what to do. to make this work for yourself. Tweaking, and voila, we have got an eye. There you have it. Alright, so for this demo, we're going to define the lips, and I'm going to come in with my pastel pencil. It's green. The reason I'm using green is because it's the opposite of red. Yay! Got a little bit of line there that I got excited about, I think. Anyway, that's okay. It'll cover up. So now I want to think about the colors. And the top lip is generally darker than the bottom lip because it's creating its own shadow. The way that it basically kind of slopes in to the teeth there. So I'm going to put just a few little green lines here at the bottom. Okay, and I'm going to use my homemade shading stump, which is nothing but a paper towel that I have kind of folded and twisted. And I'm going to push that in. Remember that we are working on yoga paper, which is a great learning paper, but it will only take so much before it is done, and it doesn't want to take any more. Because that lip is darker than the bottom, I'm going to choose this kind of rust color. I can always go in with my highlights afterwards, but I'm just going to kind of base that in here. Get my nice shape going, and then I will push it in. And because we're working with such a small area, I would very strongly suggest that you do work with some kind of a shading stump, because it is very helpful. I don't know about you guys, but my fingers are way too big to get in there and do what I need to do to make that work. Right? Okay. So now we've got the basic color that we want. We're going to go in and do a little bit more detailing as we get going, but let's look at the bottom lip. Now the bottom lip is probably going to have a highlight about right in here. So we've already established that we have put a little bit of yellow there. I'm going to come in on top of that with a little bit of this cream color. I want a little bit of that yellow to show through, right? And then I'm going to come in with, it's kind of a tan color because that's all I have to work with. So, you know, some of it you just kind of play with what you have. And I'm going to go around that color, right? Like so. Yeah, that's working. And I'm going to push that. I probably will bring in a little bit of that rust color because we want the two lips to match each other. They have to look like they go together, right? Unity or whatever. There we go. So now we've got lips. We've got the beginning. I'm going to come in with a little bit of rust color right in here. Alright. Now, this is going to give you the basic. You could actually kind of stop right here if you wanted to. And your beginner, that's where you want to stop. But if you want more detail, you're going to have to come in with probably some really, really pale light color of some sort first, and maybe even the white. So I'm going to come in with just the sky blue because I don't want to go with white just
what we learned today is that you can apply it to almost any color medium. Here is an acrylic painting that I did, and I used undercolors much the same way I did in the pastel. I watered them down. You don't want to paint them opaquely like you would with most, acrylic paintings. You want to water it down, and what it does is it provides you an underpainting, but it also provides you a guideline where you can take those little bits of color and mix them to your base skin tone that you might be using. I challenge you to try this. I challenge you to do your own pastel portrait first and play around with the colors and see how it comes out, and then I challenge you to apply it to other mediums.